Business Express. It's a Friday and it's the Tech Friday edition. So we love it when you're a part of the conversation. So yeah, please let us know what your thoughts are. 0809 440 And you can also tweet at Smooth981. We're streaming live as well. So you can catch that live stream up on our YouTube channel, Smooth981 FM. Rotus and Fisayo, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
All right. A bit of feedback from somewhere. I'm not too sure where it's coming from, but let's get into the conversation. We're talking about a few things this morning. Can we start off with the local content streaming bill from Canada?
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation where Fisayo, who is a hard right conservative, is siding with liberals in Canada's government, and myself, who is more to the left, is siding with the conservatives in Canada's government. It's a very interesting situation.
I don't understand.
Here's the thing.
So I don't understand. I don't understand what you said.
So let me explain what's happening. Canada's government has passed a bill, I think in its own House of Reps. They want to force content platforms like YouTube, Netflix, all these people to make local content, that is Canadian culture, Canadian content material. They are literally forcing the content creators to make that material. I know there was a bill that didn't go through or something like that similar in Nigeria. We're all shouting when the Nigerian government did it. So they are saying that they must allocate, in order to create jobs for the local Canadian economy, the streaming platforms must provide content. I think it is wrong. You cannot force. Wait now. Let me finish. You go. You cannot force platforms to make local content. I think over time, as we've seen with Gangs of Lagos on Prime, and was it Brotherhood? Oh no, which one was Brotherhood? No, okay, that was Gangs of Lagos on Prime. There was another one on Netflix. Over time, in fact, Fisayo and I discussed the Netflix Africa reports. That was just last week or 2 weeks ago, where they were showing how much money they spent. So over time, a platform will produce local content. You can't start forcing people to make it. Hey, Fisayo, go ahead.
Oh, so from what you explained, you think that I would side with people that are forcing platforms to produce local content?
I sent you a message. You say it's good. What did you tell me on WhatsApp? What did you tell me on WhatsApp? You said it's a good idea now.
No, I said it doesn't mean it's not a bad idea. Check your message again, by the way. I mean, I've been a consistent guy, always consistent. There's no shadow of doubt in that. I think it makes absolutely no sense. We've seen. I think my biggest challenge here is that when I read the news, I also saw the part that they're trying to make platforms like Netflix and Spotify come under the same regulation as their TVs and radios. And again, the thinking is poor as far as I'm concerned, right? It's poor thinking because they are not quite the same. Radio, TV, they have their own regular programming, but YouTube is not a TV station. Spotify is not a radio station that plays music. No, you choose the music you want to hear, you want to listen to, right? And of course, those content are then now tailored, to your history, as it were, right? Which, forcing content creators to push Canadian narrative to Canadians, it's a bad idea in its entirety, because again, it forces government intervention on what people want to see. I don't want to watch some Nigerian content. I don't want to. Doesn't mean I don't want to listen to other people miles away from where I am, right? So let me choose what I want to consume. No law should put that thing on a third party to decide for me what I want to consume. And I think it's bad in its own right.
All right, let's go the opposite direction now. This one, a platform made a decision to raise prices, and now a government, is the Nigerian Association of Students, are they a government entity? I don't think so.
They're not government entity. They're just
they're not government. Anyway, they're trying to force them to reverse. So we've seen this story before, where MultiChoice has hiked prices again, effective May 1st, and the Nigerian Association of NANS of students, they're saying that they're giving them 7 days to reverse it. They said they will close their offices. Fisayo, what are your thoughts on this development?
I mean, it's incredible, because to think that they are meant to be National Association of Nigerian Students, right?
Right.
University is meant to be like an ivory tower of thought leadership, of learning, of the best behaviors, right? But if National Association of Nigerian Students thinks that it is within their purview to close offices of a business, of a commercial entity, not a social enterprise, not in a capitalist economy, right, where inflation is at over 20%, and then they raise price in response to high cost of doing business in the country. And of course, NANS thinks that I'm sure they have economics students as members of NANS. They probably have accounting students in there. I mean, they probably just have people that have written JAMB. I mean, it's a minimum requirement for you to be a student. You should be able to think, to say, okay, this is what is happening. To then think that it is those same students, that will come up and say that, and issue statements with just so much recklessness, around they taking laws to their hands to close the offices of private business that raise their price. I mean, it makes no sense to me. I don't think it makes sense to them. They're just saying it. I don't know, right? Just simple argument between members of NANS should have, prevented this kind of, of statement. And I'll say it again, right? It is reflecting badly on the Nigeria's university education system. And to think that they said it's also the Southwest branch. I mean, so these are members from Unilag, from UI, from LASU, from some of the best universities in the country.
That are seen as enlightened.
That would have expected more from. It's a shame that the people that are leading NANS across these Southwest states think that the wise decision for them to make is to threaten MultiChoice that if they don't reduce their prices, they will close down their office in a country where the price of everything is going up. In a country where inflation, food inflation. Okay, so why can't they go to the market and say that, yeah, market women, reduce your price for tomatoes, or else we're going to close it down? It makes no sense. Why are these people talking like people that, it's such a shame that these are the people that grow up to become political leaders in the country.
Exactly.
I'm say because they are students. So they should do better. They should know better.
Indeed.
We just saw a news last week that Obafemi Awolowo University is like the Stanford of Nigeria that has many founders in tech startup. These are people that expect to be smart from just. Obafemi Awolowo was number 1. I think Unilag was number 2. Covenant University number 3. All of them in Southwest, and of course their Southwest NANS branch is making such idiotic statements, and we just take it like that. It makes no sense. I'm so angry.
As an indigene of the region.
It's shameful, to say the least. And I think that Rotus, please reach out to them. Let them come on here
and explain the rationale
to everyone. Okay, what were you thinking when you're saying this thing? Yeah. What economic theory are you working with? What argument do you have in place to come up with this stupid statement that you're making? Like, it needs to be clear. Let's understand what the argument is, and then we'll probably maybe, I won't be so hard on them if I understand what I say. But from all intent and purpose, like, this is such a shame coming from a body of students.
It scares me. 2023, we still have thinking like this. It really is very scary stuff.
Let's look at some messages coming through, yes. Rotus.
Go ahead.
Benga says, those NANS executives are meddling in matters that don't concern them. It's beyond their jurisdiction. But the cable company isn't providing contemporary content for film and documentaries. But if you don't like their services, then you shouldn't patronize them.
Simple. You don't have to pay more. You can as well not use it.
Chibike says, I disagree with this proposed local content bill in Canada. Why do they need to do that? I watch lots of content from dozens of Canadians that I'm subscribed to on YouTube. Many of them I didn't even know were Canadians until recently. So apparently, YouTube suggests them to me based on my watching behavior. Nobody needs to compel the platform to prioritize their content for me. It sorts content for me based on my choices, and that's fine. But that bill is a violation of user freedom. I don't want to be forced to watch them. I want to choose. And Yinka said we had gangs of London and that of Lagos, so it's safe to expect gangs of Toronto shortly. But Rotus, I think it's not a bad idea. Anything to protect your economy. Besides acting surprised with NANS, I'm just laughing. Is it not the same NANS being tutored by the present ASU?
Good messages.
You know,
Fisayo, real quick, we only have a minute. We only have about a minute to go. Time magazine is taking down its digital wall. We know how the internet has affected publishing, and people have put up digital walls to try and get revenue. They say it was a business decision, a strategic decision. Really quickly, what do you make of the choice to take down their paywall?
Rotus, mention one thing you know about Time magazine.
The Time 100 list.
Exactly. That's the only thing. Nobody reads article from them again. I'm not going to pay any amount of money to read article on Time magazine. No, I'm not going to do that. Right. So the only top 100 times, of course, some of those lists are useless either way. Right. So it's not like they're important lists anyway. So that's the only thing that shows up on our radar and Time. So the CEO feels like, guys, our paywall is limiting access to our content from around the world. So let's just democratize this and then be able to build followership and viewership or readership or listenership, as it were, across the world, rather than try to, because of some $2 per month or $5 per month, limit what kind of content people are able to consume. And of course, while we know that there's digital transition, happening everywhere, from newspapers to just consuming your content online, I know the dilemma that this magazine and, of course, content creators or news agencies are facing, to be able to drive revenues. And, of course, how poor user experience will be if they push too much advertising on top of it. But for Time, right, they are caught between, a rock and a hard place, right, to say, how do we ensure that we're able to get our content out, as much as possible while creating the best experience for our readers? And I think that's where this thing is. So if I have a personal comment, I side with the CEO. I'm not going to pay for any $2. I can Google. There are many free, platforms where I can read news from. If it's important to me, I can check CNN if I want to see the left wing view. I will check Fox if I want to see the right wing view on the same matter, and I make a decision on that. I don't need to pay for Time to do that. So I think it's just great for them to just take out the nonsense paywall and just focus on advertising revenue and figure out a way to maximize experience doing that.
Agreed. We finished on time. Nice.
Yep. Yes, we did. I'm just going to read a few comments. Yinka says Time 100. I see what you did there. I'm sure it's the hotheads. Okay, Yinka, I'm sorry, I don't get your message. Precious says the public institutions, including the Canadian Authority and NANS in Nigeria, have a fascist orientation that has a parallel path of reasoning to the capitalist system that is transforming the global tech and media space. Well, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for listening. Thanks for your messages. And thank you, Rotus and Fisayo. Have a brilliant weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.